Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. Coco Gauff on biggest challenge against unseeded players over Iga Swiatek and Aryna Sabalenka. I was aggressive and played with margin. Maybe it wasn't her best level. Coco Gauff oozed confidence after besting six-time slam queen Iga Swiatek earlier this season in Madrid. While the former world number one has dominated the American in most of their clashes, the present number two proved better this season, and she replicated a similar performance against world number one and arch-rival Aryna Sabalenka during the epic French Open final at court Philippe Chatrier. Gauff forced her to commit 70 unforced errors in that clash on clay before lifting her second major title. But this dominance isn't the same against the lower-ranked opponents, and Gauff knows it too. This season, Gauff has been faltering against unseeded players than the top 10 or top 20. For example, her journey following the Roland Garros victory in June. When the grass swing began for the American in Berlin, things became weirdly tough for her. China's Xin Wang, who was then ranked 49th, stunned her in the opening match in straight sets. Then at Wimbledon, Ukraine's Diana Yastremska, ranked number 42, edged out Gauff in one of the biggest upsets of the grass major this season. "I was really on fire," said Yastremska about her performance against the two-time slam champion. And as if this heartbreak wasn't enough, Coco Gauff lost yet another battle to an unseeded player earlier this month. Canada's teenage sensation, Victoria Mboko, beat the American in straight sets at the Canadian Open in the R16. During the WTA 1000 tournament, Mboko was ranked 85th in the world. After ousting the world number two, she simply said, "I don't even know what to say still," while adding, "I was kind of shocked about it all." Now, this week, Gauff's shown a return to form, qualifying for the quarterfinals of the Cincinnati Open. After her win over Italy's Lucia Bronzetti, world number 61, the American was asked about preparing against unseeded opponents. "How do you keep your mindset that you have to take every match like you were playing a top seed?" One reporter asked her in round 4 press conference of the Cincinnati Open, and her response was simple yet logical. "Honestly, I think it's sometimes harder when you're playing people who are unseeded because they're going in that match with nothing to lose and everything to gain. I don't pay attention to rankings or anything like that because at the end of the day, everybody is capable of winning regardless of the ranking or anything. Especially if you look at the last few tournaments. You definitely see that," replied Coco. The 2024 WTA Finals winner further explained, "So every match, I'm always on guard and ready, and sometimes to be honest, get more relaxed playing a top seed, just because you expect them to play great tennis. So I don't know, something about knowing that if you lose then it's because they are playing great tennis. And sometimes when playing an unranked person, they can start off, like, not playing so well, and then all of a sudden just be playing like top 5, top 10 because they're loose and relaxed." While she's managed to stay afloat in Cincinnati, other seeded names like Jessica Pegula, Yelena Ostapenko, and Emma Navarro have been eliminated, and all of them faced exits at the hands of lower-ranked opponents. For Gauff, however, it's more of a mental thing than ranking thing. At the moment, her target is clear: winning the big trophy. And she's made it evident as well ahead of her next battle. Coco Gauff looks to leave a lasting impression in Cincinnati. Despite her recent struggles in Wimbledon and then Montreal, Coco Gauff is determined to do better. Her ongoing form at the 1000 level tournament is clear proof of her efforts. Being a former Cincinnati queen in 2023, she knows making a deep run isn't enough to gain confidence going into the bigger events. The U.S. Open is her next stop in the coming week. For me, it's trying to forget the losses, but more so remembering how I lost. With the wins, I try to celebrate myself a little bit, but I'm very much a perfectionist type of person, so it's really nothing satisfying until you're holding the big trophy," reported Cincinnati Open's website on August 14th. She will try to replicate her form from 2 years ago. Back then, she bested Karolina Machova in the Summit Clash to win the Cincinnati Open. But to repeat that, she will have to reach the final. There's still the quarterfinal hurdle she needs to clear. Gauff will face a familiar opponent in Italy's Jasmine Paolini on Friday. Both are tied 2-2 in the H2H tally at the moment. In their last meeting, Paolini emerged victorious when she beat the American in the Italian Open final back in May. But now, do you think Gauff will take her sweet revenge and move one step closer to her second finale in Cincinnati? The invisible threat, Coco Gauff's greatest challenge. At 21, Coco Gauff had become a household name, not just in America, but around the world. She had the Grand Slam titles, the endorsements, and the firebrand spirit that made her a favorite in every tournament. Her name was always printed in bold on draw sheets, and cameras followed her from the first round to the finals. She had faced and beaten the best. Iga Swiatek's flawless baseline game, Aryna Sabalenka's thunderous power, Elena Rybakina's stoic precision. Coco had matched them all, toe-to-toe, inch by inch. But in the corridors of the WTA Tour, whispered not by pundits but by players, was a truth that Gauff herself had begun to confront. Her biggest threat wasn't the number one seed. It was the one with no number next to her name. It started subtly. A third-round scare at the Australian Open against a qualifier from Hungary. A match that stretched nearly 3 hours, full of errant forehands, misread drop shots, and nerves that refused to calm. Coco escaped barely, but the doubt had settled. By the time Wimbledon came around, the tennis world had its eyes on a potential final between Gauff and Swiatek. Their rivalry was billed as the future of the sport. They were the opposites, Gauff's extroverted fire, Swiatek's introverted storm. Their matches were battles of will and wit, but Gauff never got to that final. She lost in the second round to an unseeded Czech teenager ranked outside the top 80. It wasn't the loss that stung most. It was how powerless she felt in that match. Her rhythm was broken, her returns late, her footwork heavy. It was like chasing shadows. Back in Miami, Gauff sat in her hotel room with her coach, Brad Gilbert, staring at the replay of that match. She didn't have a pattern, Brad said. No tendencies. Just chaos. Gauff nodded. I can prep for IGA. I know her topspin, her patterns, her habits. I know when Sabalenka wants to go down the line. But these unseeded girls, they're like ghosts. They have nothing to lose, and I have everything. The pressure of expectation, it was something Gauff had carried since she was 15. She could handle it when facing legends. She rose to the level of Serena Williams in spirit, if not always in result. But against the unknown, the players with no media obligations, no crowd expectations, no mental baggage, they were the ones who could swing free. The U.S. Open was supposed to be different. Coco was the defending champion. The stadium roared for her. The city buzzed with her name. She breezed through the first rounds. Her quarterfinal opponent was Aryna Sabalenka, now world number 1. It was a match for the ages. 2 hours and 48 minutes of punishing rallies, scream-inducing points, and mental fortitude. Gauff won in 3 sets, collapsing on the court in joy and exhaustion. Then came the semifinal. An unseeded wild card from Japan. 22 years old. Smooth strokes. No weapons on paper. No hype. No pressure. Coco lost in straight sets. The headlines were kind, but questioning. Gauff's kryptonite, the unscouted threat. When the seeded fall to the unseeded, a pattern in Gauff's reign. Her team began to analyze data, match-by-match stats, opponent rankings, error margins. The trend was clear. Against top 10 opponents, Gauff had a winning record over the past 2 years. Against unseeded players in Grand Slams, a 62% win rate. Respectable, but for a world-class athlete, not good enough. After that loss, Gauff took a month off. Not from tennis, but from competition. She went to Orlando, worked in silence, no press. She trained with juniors, hitting against kids who played with nothing to lose. She told her team, I need to rewire how I play under pressure, not in finals, but in first rounds. Not against Swiatek, but against a name I don't know. They started simulating chaos. Practice matches with no scouting reports. Unknown sparring partners. No rhythm drills. Unorthodox patterns. Moonballs, jump balls, underarm serves. Every training session designed to make her uncomfortable. She lost a lot in practice. And it worked. By the time the next season rolled around, Gauff wasn't just strong. She was unpredictable. She could play clean, But she could play dirty, too. She could handle the storm of a top player and the funk of a no-name. In the third round of the French Open, she met another unseeded youngster, an 18-year-old from Argentina who had just upset the 12th seed. The girl hit loopy forehands, sliced on both sides, and grinned like she had already won. The first set was messy. Gauff was down 4-1, but something was different this time. She didn't panic. She smiled. She junk-balled right back. She played moonballs to moonballs, drop shots to drop shots. She took the chaos and owned it. She won 7-5, 6-2. That match didn't make headlines. But to Coco, it was her real final. In the press room afterward, a journalist asked, "Do you think your greatest rivals are still Swiatek and Sabalenka?" Coco paused, then smiled. "My greatest rival," she said, "is the unknown." She would go on that season to beat both Swiatek and Sabalenka again, claiming another slam title. The rivalries were alive, fierce, and glorious. But something had changed in how she played those early rounds. She no longer looked for patterns. She adapted to chaos. She welcomed the unexpected. She embraced what made tennis brutal and beautiful. That anyone, on any day, could beat anyone. And that greatness wasn't just about winning finals. It was about surviving the shadows.